All right, so again, like I said, kind of got interrupted by a phone call. That's the fun of the distance learning thing right now. But anyways, so back to this question that we were just working on the last one. So we multiplied the 2 times 2 to make the 4, and then we did x cubed times x to the 7th. That's adding the exponents, the 3 and the 4. The y times y made the y squared. Okay, so we got that part taken care of. All right, so now we want to distribute and multiply here. So let's go ahead and do 2 times 3 to make 6. And then you got an x cubed times x to the 1st. That makes x to the 4th. And then we have y times y. That makes a y squared. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and distribute our 7 to both parts. So if we do that, we're going to have 14x to the 4th y. 7 times 2 made the 14. X to the 4th y, and now 7 times 3, we're going to have 21xy. Now, to combine like terms, the terms have to be exactly the same. These terms both have y squareds, but they both don't have x to the 4th or x to the 7th, so we're not going to be able to combine any like terms. I don't see anything that goes together. This looks like a good order. Now, when you have a couple letters, what I usually do is the first letter in alphabetical order, I go highest to lowest exponent power with that, which we have here. So this is going to be a good answer, right, to that question. We got to be able to multiply these things out. All right, so the next one here, again, I'm going to recopy it on my piece of paper here. Letter F, we have 4x to the 4th. Plus 3x squared minus 8, and we want to multiply it with 2x to the negative 3 plus 5. Okay. All right, so for multiplication here, this is a trinomial with a binomial. Be a little careful here. Let's multiply the binomial into the trinomial. Okay, so I'm going to work that direction. So we've got 2 times 4 makes 8. X to the negative 3 plus 4. Negative 3 plus 4 is x to the 1st. I don't need to write a 1, but I'm going to, so that I have it there. I'm going to have 2 times 3 makes 6, positive 6. X to the negative 1, 2 plus negative 3. And then we're going to have 2x to the negative 3 times negative 8. That's negative 16x to the negative 3. Multiplying that 2x to all the parts. Now I want to go ahead and multiply the 5 with all 3 parts in here. So the 5 with all the parts is going to make plus 20x to the 4th, and then plus 15x squared, and then minus 40. Now again, we got our work cut out for us for getting this all in the right order, making sure that we get the negative exponents out of there. So here we go. Let's start with 20x to the 4th. That's the highest exponent power. We'll start with that. Okay, then next will be x squared, so plus 15x squared. That's gone. You're going to have plus 8x. That's gone. Let's see. Your x to the negative 1 would go next. So plus 6 over x. This drops to the bottom. The 6 stays up on top, but the x drops to the bottom. That's your exponent rules. Then minus 16 over x to the positive 3. That's going to drop to the bottom. The 16 does not. The negative 16 doesn't, but it's the exponent part that does. And then we're left with minus 40. And there you go. We've got this answer in standard form. So again, the key here is to distribute carefully and make sure that you are very, very careful with your exponents along the way. Okay, now go ahead and turn the page in the notes. Okay, and it's talking about a pattern that you must know. It's the sum of squares pattern. Now, again, I told you I've done this for a very, very long time, you guys, longer than you've been alive. And I'm finding that students, when I tell them to do something, they don't listen, and they find later that they wish they had, and it's a little bit late at that point. So this is a pattern you should know. It's going to come up multiple times this year. we got to understand how to do it. Okay, so what it is that you've got a binomial that is being squared. All right. Now, you can, if you want, any binomial that's being squared, you can take, for example, x plus 3 squared and write it out and do x plus 3 times x plus 3. I mean, you can do that. That's okay, but that's, you know, you're kind of making a little bit more effort for yourself. So the better thing is to know the pattern, which says that if I have two things, a binomial that is squared, that my answer is going to be a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. Now, I'll be honest with you, for myself, sometimes I would have to kind of think about a rule like that. So I like to give you kind of, you know, just a way to think about it and a way to remember, and it's this. Okay, square the front, and what I mean by that is your front term, square it. Okay, second, multiply the parts and double. So multiply your parts and double, and then square the back. Okay, so square the front term, the a, square it. Multiply these two parts, a times b, and double them, so multiply them by 2. And then square the back. All right, and we're going to use that technique now. And again, this is something you got to memorize. I mean, you got to get it into your mind. You can do it. It just takes a little bit of effort. Okay, so again, all I'm going to do this, instead of writing it out like this and then doing the whole double distribute thing, I'm just going to use the pattern. It's to square the front. If I square 2x, I get 4x squared. I square the 2 and the x. I multiply these two parts. That's negative 6x, but double, so it's negative 12x. And then I'm going to square this back number. Negative 3 squared is positive 9. Again, I'm following this pattern. Square the front, multiply the parts and double, square the back. And I have it. Okay, let's try letter B. Okay, same thing. This is a binomial squared. This is when I use the pattern. When I have a binomial that's squared. I square the front, I get 16x squared. I multiply the two parts together, that's negative 12xy. And double, that's negative 24xy. I'm going to square the back, and I get positive 9y squared. And that would be my binomial squared. Again, square the front, multiply the parts and double, square the back, and you got it. Okay, letter C. Do the same thing. This is a binomial. It's squared. Let's square the front. That makes 9x to the 4th. Now, a lot of this comes down to, can you actually square something? Like, can you do that? That's what the lesson notes on this were, that you got to square the 3, you make 9, and then you square an x squared, that makes x to the 4th. You're multiplying those exponents. Multiply the two parts together, that makes negative 12x squared y, and double, so you're going to have negative 24x squared y. Again, multiply the parts, and then double. Lastly, square the back. If I square negative 4, I get positive 16y squared. And there you go, you have it. All right, so we got a little bit of an idea from the 2 lesson videos now how to multiply things out. So you've got it here now. When we come back to class together, obviously we'll practice a little bit, but hopefully you're coming with a little bit of knowledge when we get there. Now our next lesson is on factoring. That's where we really got to make sure you can do things, because if you can't factor, you probably won't find very much success in another math class starting today. So again, want to make sure we can factor in that next lesson. That'll be coming here soon. All right, you guys have a great afternoon or evening whenever you're doing this, and I'll see you next time.